He's unpacked his socks and settled back into his old room. Now Donald Trump is ready to turn his attention to Ukraine. The newly reminted president is threatening Vladimir Putin, urging him to end the war the easy way or the hard way.
The war in Ukraine is about to enter its fourth year, despite this ironclad guarantee.
If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours.
Let's check in with the presidency clock and, well, I guess he didn't specify which 24 hours. But despite the missed deadline, Trump's not forgotten Ukraine, taking to social media to tell Putin he should settle now and stop the war, and that no more lives should be lost. And Donald must have had a movie on in the background because one of Hollywood's favourite go-to lines...
We can do this the easy way or the hard way.
It's the easy way or the hard way.
The easy way, you got the hard way.
Right.
made its way into his post.
Now, boys, we can do this the easy way or the hard way.
It's not entirely clear what the hard way is, but we do know what the opening gambit will be.
If Vladimir Putin doesn't come to the table to negotiate with you, will you put additional sanctions on Russia?
Sounds likely.
The thing is, Russia has already been under severe sanctions since the war began, with billions of dollars worth of restrictions placed on its finances and trade by the US, Europe and Australia, and America blacklisting Russia's biggest oil companies just 2 weeks ago. And none of these moves has proven a deterrent, which might be why Vlad's in such a good mood.
He showed courage to win in a convincing manner. We congratulate the US President-elect on taking office.
Sad for Vlad, Trump did not respond in kind.
He can't be thrilled. He's not doing so well. I think he's destroying Russia by not making a deal.
Trump's new hardline approach surprising, given the bromantic vibes that coloured his first term.
President Putin was extremely strong and powerful.
Something always brings me back to you.
Do you have a relationship with Vladimir Putin?
So can a deal finally be reached to end this war? And will Putin opt for the easy way?
Don't you take the easy way out.
What easy way? There is no easy way.
Maybe there is. Here to do it the easy way is Tom Switzer, Executive Director at the Centre for Independent Studies. Tom, all this tough talk from Trump, is that what's going to do it? Is that what will end the war?
Who knows with Trump? He's such an erratic and unpredictable character. But my sense is that the Russians are in the driver's seat in Ukraine. They control about 20 to 22% of Ukraine. So I think if there's any real meaningful peace deal, the Americans would probably have to capitulate to Russian demands. And I don't think even Donald Trump is capable of doing that.
What about sanctions? Could they do it?
Well, as Waleed pointed out in his clip there, the Western countries, including Australia, have imposed a lot of tough sanctions on Russia, and all things considered, the Russians have weathered those sanctions. It's the Ukrainians who are really losing out here. They've lost 1/5 of their territory, 1/3 of their population, and they're in all sorts of trouble here. So, unfortunately, Russia's in the driver's seat here.
Given that, how do you think Putin will be responding to this from Trump?
Well, he will want conditions from the Americans. The Russians will want the 20 to 22% of Ukraine, of eastern Ukraine and Crimea that they currently occupied. They would want that legally recognised by the Americans and the international community. That's unlikely. And of course, the Russians have made it very clear they want Ukraine to be neutral, that is, not part of NATO. And so long as Ukrainian membership in NATO is on the table, that just provides powerful incentives for the Russians to continue the fighting.
So the picture you're painting is a great one for Russia. It means despite this war not going at all the way they perhaps planned and would have wanted, they've come out the other side or might be coming out the other side with what they want. So when Trump it's kind of a threat, isn't it? The easy way or the hard way. What would the hard way be? Like, you've got to have some leverage or something, don't you, if you want to threaten the hard way?
Well, that's why I don't think there's any meaningful peace deal on the tables unless the Americans give a lot more to the Russians and the Ukrainians. And I just think that's highly unlikely. Now, remember, the last time Trump was in the White House, Waleed, the United States expanded NATO further eastwards. They supplied lethal weapons to Ukraine. They launched missile strikes against Russia's then client state, Syria, led by Assad. These kind of decisions just outraged the Kremlin, and increased east-west tensions. So Russians may be entitled to think that with Trump back in the White House, who needs enemies?
Well, why is Trump taking such a different tone now with Putin? Is the bromance over? Has he met a younger, hotter Russian president?
No. My sense is that Trump wants to end the war, and he's distinguished himself from Biden and much of the US foreign policy establishment insofar as that he's recognised that Russia is just playing hardball to protect its vital interests in its near abroad. You know, they don't want NATO, they don't want Ukraine being part of NATO because from Russia's perspective, that's just a Western bulwark on its borders. And that goes against the conventional wisdom in Washington and Brussels and Canberra and London and elsewhere that Russia is bent on creating an empire and gobbling up all of Ukraine, including Kyiv, before they have their sights set on Eastern and Central Europe. Russia is bogged down in Ukraine. They're bogged down in Donbass. The idea that they're capable of doing a Nazi Germany and expanding their empire is laughable, and I think Trump knows that.
Tom, thanks for your time.
Always a pleasure.